I was doing some thinking, and I'm currently working on rebuilding the Tahoe's power supply, the base machine, for the coming season. And of course, for the very end of this season, but mainly for next year. And I've been studying the parts that I need to do the build the way I want it to, and deciding on how I'm going to proceed with that. And I got to thinking, there's a lot of people out there that struggle with finding what they need. And they're asking me questions. What do you think the best thing is? The best this, the best that, best place to buy it, what to get. So I figured I'd do a little live show, and we're going to talk about some of those things. So just a minute, and we'll be right back.
Hit the chill back and you stand up, stand up. Start to move your body with your hands up, hands up. Rock it to and fro while they coming through the door. Now they leaning on the bar with the cans up, cans up. Hit the flow fast and you back up, back up. DJ got it lit, turn the track up, track up. Moving side to side, feel the rhythm start to ride. Now they stepping to the beat, never slack. Just how low can you go? Can you go? Can you drop it right down to the floor, to the floor? With a body like a demon, make the men start screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know. Ooh, how far down can you go? Can you go? Can you lay it right down on the floor, on the floor? With the body like a demon and the men still screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know, let them know, let them know, let them know, let them know. Lights turn low when they line up, line up. Shorty got the vibe, time to wind up, wind up. Everybody moving when the bass line hit, and the whole damn place gonna bind up, bind up. Bass hit hard and they jump up, jump up. Hands in the air, let it pump up, pump up. Moving left and right when the hook come tight. Everybody in the house shit. Just how low can you go? Can you go? Can you drop it right down to the floor, to the floor? With a body like a demon, make the men start screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know. Ooh, how far down can you go? Can you go? Can you lay it right down on the floor, on the floor? With the body like a demon and the men still screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know, let them know, let them know.
Guys, and I am sorry there, T. Corley, your phone's about to die, brother. I hope you get that thing squared away with no charger. That sucks, man. But hell, some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight might actually solve those problems for you in the future. And unfortunately, you're going to have to watch this in the replay mode, not the live mode. And I don't expect a whole lot of people to show up for this because it is an unannounced live and it's also late. However, this video will go up for posterity on the YouTube page. So if you subscribe, you'll be able to find that no problem and watch it again. We're going to cover some stuff that we normally would need to buy from somewhere. And I'm going to cover why you would want to buy it on somewhere place like Amazon, for example. And some of the kit that I've bought in the past and have used extensively and have good working knowledge of whether or not it's any good. So let's get started. Of course, any questions you guys might have, you feel free to pop them over there in the chat, and I will see those and I will get to those in this video. So first I want to talk about terminals. So lugs are something we have to purchase a lot. Okay. And this is one of my favorite kits to buy. I usually get the 10 lug kits. This heat shrink that it comes with is extremely good heat shrink. It's very thick and has very thick glue in it. So it's really good for marine proofing. Of course, we're using standard copper lugs, and these are 3/8. They work for most things. You may have to drill them out for other things, and you can get the kit in a 20-piece kit, which is essentially the same exact thing, just 20 pieces. However, for most situations, the 10-piece is going to cut it. And that's a $7 kit. It's like $7 and some change to buy this. If you go anywhere and buy these lugs anywhere besides Amazon, you're going to pay like a couple bucks a piece for the lugs. So this is a must go thing and one of my favorite items to buy on the Amazon. And I'm going to show you a few other things that I bought. I bought lots of those. These kits are great. Light pods. So these are rock lights, okay? And yeah, they're bitching about my billing issue. They got the wrong credit card information for that, so they can't bill me for my Prime subscription. Anyway, this is a light pod kit. You can see it comes with a whole lot of different pod counts. All right, I bought several of these kits, and the fact that I bought several of them means they're worth buying. And right now, I've got a 4-pod kit in the front of my Tahoe. So for $36, you get the 4 lights, you get a keychain fob, which you guys can't see it. I'm down here in the bottom, but yeah, it looks just like that little thing right there. It's about the size of your little finger. You get the keychain fob, you get a actual remote right here, and you get the app. So you can control it in 3 different ways, which is really, really cool. You could use that controller or you can use the little key fob and control them. And I like not having to be forced to use an app. I don't care for apps. They work really well. They're nice and bright, and they're perfect for your rock light situations like you see in that image there, or for doing stuff on the inside. They come wired with, there's 2 outputs on this, right? So the way they come is you have 2 wires going out of the controller, and it'll have plugs. Well, you have 2 plugs, and those plugs go to the first set of lights, and then you daisy chain off of each side. So you end up with 2 strings of lights. They're as long as you want them to be, and that's where the different pods come in. You can daisy chain as many as you want, but you're going to have 2 separate sides. This thing also gives you the ability to hook up to your turn signals so that you can activate half the lights when you turn left or right, blinking like your blinkers, and they will do brake lights as well. So you can use your brake lights to activate the lights. You can use turn signals to activate half the lights at one time. It's very cool for a vehicle, but it's also really cool for what I do, which is inside lighting, because these pods are very, very rugged and small and produce a lot of light one time. They're easy to hide in little cubbies, so you don't have the light source in your face. Excellent little piece of kit. For $36, you can do your lighting on the inside, and you have controllers that don't absolutely require you to use an app. So I'm a big fan of these. And let's go down to some more stuff that's interesting. This is an underrated item, okay? If you're doing installs, you're going to inevitably want to do some type of like zip tie mounting, or mounting the little cable management stuff, mounting panels, things like that, where you're going to have a screw that shows, from the mounting. And these pinhead screws are excellent for that. They have a nice little thread, little pointy bits, that go in there. You can get them relatively cheap. You can get 100 count for $8, and they will be your go-to screw for so many things. And you can't find them at stores a lot of times. They're hard to find at stores. So ordering some of these is going to be a real easy solution for a lot of problems. I usually go with the 3/4 inch variety because they give you the most options as to what you can use. It's not going to go all the way through a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, but when you put something under it that you're holding down, it's not going to pop through. It's just a really good size. So I like going with those, and that particular batch is a solid choice. Now, I just want to show you a few other things. These guys. So you can find several varieties of these fuse holders. They're made by different people. They have different names on them. But this particular style of fuse holder is great because it can handle up to, it's got it rated for 600 amps. If you choose these different ones, All it does is change the fuse size. So, but they'll actually handle a lot of power. And what I like about them, and one of the things I like about them is the fact that there's two sets of bolts. So your wire can connect to this bolt here, and then your fuse connects to these bolts, and then you have another. So you can change the fuse or pull the fuse out without disconnecting the wires. That's really cool. And this block of steel down here is really thick. I don't know if it's steel or copper, but it's really thick. It's going to be very conductive. And this bottom piece, this plastic piece, is actually a fiber impregnated plastic. So it's really tough. It's not going to melt easily. This is a great fuse. And they're around 23 bucks a piece. You can get them for about 20 bucks a piece for these fuse blocks. Now, these top parts are clear and they come with these little plastic washers. There's a couple of different types of these tops that you'll see. Some of them have a little rubber stopper in here that would just kind of stick on the end of the bolt. Those ones kind of suck, okay? The rest of the assembly is fine, but those ones with the little rubber deal that connects up here, that you basically, it'll stick on there as long as you don't bump it, then it'll just fall off. The ones with these little plastic nuts, however, you set this on here, and it goes down on there on your wire, and then you screw the nut down. These work really well, and they're not easy to discombobulate, right? So it's an excellent choice for fusing, and the pricing on them is reasonable. The durability is top notch. I love these fuse holders. I've beaten the crap out of them, and they've taken everything. So they're a really good, solid piece of kit. I see El Fuego was in the house. G Ace. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Self tappers. Yeah, those are awesome self tappers for real. That's a go-to screw. El Fuego's here from the Pacific Northwest. What's up, El Fuego? We're trying to prevent the fire today. But I'm going down through some of the stuff that I've bought on Amazon and some of the stuff that I've used. And I'm showing some of these things that I find are extremely effective. See, there's this other one right here. We were just looking at this one, right? And this other one, it looks exactly the same. But you see it has these little stopper dealies right here. That's the things I don't like. I don't like the ones that have those little stoppers. The rest of this kit is the same, essentially identical. It's going to have the same ratings and everything. Oh, yeah, there's this thing. I haven't ever used one of these, but I recognize that plastic it's made out of. That plastic is fiber-filled plastic. So it's like, it's tough. It ain't going to melt. I mean, you could probably build a fire inside that, and it would hold up for quite a while before it would melt down with a fire in it. Those things are that stuff's really tough. It's really high melting point. But I haven't used that. I'm not exactly sure how you use that. But the point is, these guys are awesome. I just don't like the style like this with the rubber caps in the clear thing. Let's see here. G4Ace. I'm going to need self tappers. You know what? I think I have. Oh, I found this. I haven't tested this piece of kit yet, but I like the way this voltmeter looks. And this voltmeter does volts and does temperature, and it has a clock in it also. And I'm assuming you can change it from Celsius to Fahrenheit. I don't know where the sensor is on it, though. I'm not 100% on that, because it's got the power wire and the remote wire and a turn on. It's got a power, a ground, and that may be the sensor. I'm not really sure. It's got 3 wires on it, and I would say that's a power, ground, and remote turn on, but that other wire, I don't know for sure. Anyway, this is something that's grabbed my eye. I haven't tested it yet, but I like the way that little dude looks. So I'm going to go through a few other things. And this is all my shopping kit. Oh, there's one back here. This is another thing. If you're doing car audio, okay, and you've got your factory stereo system, probably got a factory amplifier or something like that, you need to be able to get your signal from your 4-channel or 5-channel stereo or amplifier that you've got mounted somewhere. You need to get that to your factory speakers, right? And one of the best ways to do that is to run this 9-wire, run these right from that point so that you're picking up your signal, picking up your speakers. So, like, you run this to the speaker outputs on the amplifier and you bypass those. And then you take the other end of this sucker and you run it to your 5-channel amp. That allows you to use the factory wiring to all the speakers without, and without sacrificing. And then you can immediately put it back to stock with just by unhooking this and hooking the factory amp back up there. This is really good. If you don't have a factory amplifier, if you just have the factory stereo, you could run this up behind the factory stereo and connect to all your speakers so that you can make one single cable run from your amplifier to where your speakers connect, and then you can use the factory wiring. It's a really clean way to solve so many problems. And of course, it comes with 4 sets of wires for 4 speakers and an extra wire, which you can use for remote, which is brilliant. It's like the most perfect thing to have whenever you're doing car audio work. If you're working with a lot of stock equipment and you want to kind of keep it that way, this is an excellent solution. And that's called 9-wire. You can find it in lots and lots of varieties and lots of different flavors. Okay. And when it comes to screws. So, what I typically do on screws, I typically buy those in the big box stores. But what I like to use is the T25 for a whole lot of things. I use the T25s because they tend to not fall over or strip out as easy. And they give you better performance. You don't want your screwdriver falling over. You don't want your screw falling over and your bit to go smashing through the cone or the surround of your stuff. Let's go into my buy again box. Oh, there's some good stuff in here. All right, so these guys. This is a extremely useful product. Okay. This guy gives you I've bought a whole bunch of these. They're little distribution blocks. And they give you an alt gauge in, which can be downsized to a 4 gauge with a little sleeve that comes with it. And they give you 4 gauge outs that can be downsized to 8 gauge or 10 gauge. They come with little sleeves in them. This is an uninfused distribution, but it works extremely well if you're trying to work on a budget. And as long as you're fusing afterwards and before, you're fine. And I use these for speaker distribution to my subwoofer enclosure. I got them installed right now, actually. So I run from my amplifier into this, and then you can run this out to as many speakers as you have. It keeps you from having all those wires you're trying to shove into your amplifier to connect them. You can run them out this way, and then you can switch them around as needed. I run one for ground and one for positive. Very cool. And of course, they work for other normal installations where you have positives and grounds for multiple amplifiers and things like that. So they're excellent little blocks, and they hold together well. They're well made. Recommend them at $14. You can't beat them. There's some other variants, but I haven't used them. I have used this guy. I had good luck with it. I've got one that I've still occasionally bust out. This is a good, if you're really trying to be neat about things. So if I got there's a good view. So you see you have a power, an unfused power coming in, and then it sends out power, fused power to all these different things. And when a fuse blows, the light will come on. These little red lights will light up. And so anytime you have a fuse blow, they'll pop on. They'll show the red light, which shows which fuse blew. It makes it very easy to troubleshoot. And then that pass through up here is one solid pass through, unfused. So you can add this into a line that you've already got going somewhere, and then you can break off of that. Same thing with your ground. You can do a ground coming in and going back out that's unfused. Oh, well, you don't have fused grounds, but you also have the outputs down here and extra fuses in there. There's 2 extra fuse holders in that spot right there, so you can replace one that blows. These are really nice little pieces of kit, and there's a whole bunch of different companies that sell them. They're usually priced between like $15 and $22 or $23, and they're a great little kit for someone doing a complicated setup. And I've used a lot of those. Let's see, a couple of other things. Oh, that car holder. These are great, but you got to put like a piece of metal on the back of your phone and they snap into a vent. My wife's got one in her car and she's been using it for a while and she's had real good luck with it. And if she doesn't break it, and if it works for her, then it's stupid proof. But take a look at this. You can Google that and look it up. These are really good. What else is in here? Oh yeah, these things. So if you do some short RCA runs, all right, RCA cables are a spot where you can generally introduce a lot of noise and a lot of garbage into your signal and get all kinds of things going on. So good quality RCAs are going to help reject that and protect you from bad wire management and or just a noisy environment. And these guys from Seismic Audio are freaking awesome. Now, you notice they're called cables online here, but they come from Seismic. These ain't the ones from Seismic. These are the other ones. They are great. These are really good. They come in small links. They're mainly used for instruments and stuff like that. This is the ones I ordered alongside when I was testing them, and both of them performed well. But you got 25 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet, 6 feet, 4 feet, 10 feet. You can get the size you need, and you can get a solid cable that's going to give you good results. And these are one of those that are a good result. I also ordered. I thought I had those pulled up, but I also ordered the. Digging through stuff here because I'm confused. Oh yeah, I know where it's at. It's down here. How do I get back to that? How do I get back to that thing I was doing? But I've also ordered them from Seismic, and they come in a similar fashion. Oh, there's a couple more things we're going to cover in here that might be hard for you to find, and they're not listed here in my little pile of stuff. But here's one. This is one. So, and there we go. We'll go there. So if you guys are looking for flags, floating towels, stuff like that, this is options. I've used them a lot. In fact, the one you see behind me right there, the Big Jeff one, is one of the ones I've ordered. You can take the flags and you go to this thing, right? So you pull it up. You can upload your image that you want on the flag, and then you go to customize. You can set up the background, how big the flag is. You can different sizes here, the background colors, all that stuff. And you can set up your fabric choice, or you can do single layers and double layers and 3-stitch, and you can have eyelets or no eyelets. I mean, it's all kinds of cool stuff. You can also create. So like you can make a black flag, for example, and then go down here, choose your font that you want, and then type in what you want on it and create that flag. So you can make it up right here as you go, or you can upload images and stuff like that. And they're not expensive. I mean, you can get a big old flag like this made for like $7 or $8, usually $10. So the prices aren't bad. If you go with the real big giant ones that are triple layer and really super heavy duty and all that, you might spend $30, but they're not expensive. And if you do the float, if you want them to float in your window, you're going to probably want to order a single layer because double layer starts to get a little dense, and you definitely don't want to put the eyelets on. You want to have them without the eyelets because the eyelets will slap you in the face. It ain't nothing worse than getting slapped in the face. There's my chair right there. How about that? That's what I'm sitting in. They're good. But let's get over here and talk about some of this stuff. So I know you guys just having a blast right now. You're like, what the hell is even going on right here? Why am I even in this world? Let's see. Dang, wait. Temperatures of what battery amp? I don't know. Oh no. This is dangerous. Yeah. But I'm passing on. So if you guys have been digging, and that's the whole point. I mean, I know it's tough. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know if you want to blow, buy this stuff here and take a chance. So I'm passing on the stuff that I have bought a lot of and beat the brakes out of it and have, good history with it. That's what I'm doing. Because I've already done it. I can pass on the save to you guys. You can skip trying all this other dumb shit, and you can go with the thing that I already tested the crap out of, and I'm currently using in most cases. And you don't have to worry about buying it 15 times. You're going to get the thing that works right off the bat. So, has anybody got any particular item that you have been trying to find a good one of and have had trouble with that? Let's go back to buy again. That's where I was. And I'll look here and I'll show you a few more things. These work really well. So I've got a set of these in my Tahoe right now. And they're excellent. I'm running like two, they're they're rated at 400 amps. I'm running about 1,500 to 2,000 amps through these bars. Now, mind you, that 400 amp rating is if you hook one connector here and then you connect down on this end and pull it off. So you're running it through the whole bar. That's the worst case scenario. Most of my connections are going from a positive here, then another positive here. So it's like the bar is mainly there just to hold the two lugs on top of each other, and I know I don't have you guys in the right thing. I'll show you. But the overall functionality is great. They're really good. And again, the base on these is made out of that ABS fiber impregnated plastic. Stuff that you try to cut it with a knife, and your knife is like, what is this? What even is this? Wire ferrules. Oh yeah. Oh, the flag. Yeah, you can go crazy with the flag. Yeah, wire ferrule. I've got those in there too. Let's go back. I'm going to show you some more stuff. Those things are really good. There's several different ones. I don't like the ones that have, but these are fine. This is the good ones. I don't like the ones with the little rubber pop ins like this. These things suck, man. Don't get these. Don't get the ones with these little inset rubber pop ins. Because they look good and everything, but as soon as you bump them, they just fall off. And oh my God, they're annoying. Get the ones that have the little plastic nuts on the end. Just from experience, I've already danced the dance of the pop ins, and they suck. And this is speaker wire. Now, this is CCA speaker wire. So why would I get CCA speaker wire? Well, I'm going to tell you. Here's the nuts and bolts of it. Whenever you're running high amounts of current through a wire, you're going to want to use copper, pure copper, OFC copper. But if you're running alternating current through a wire, you can still use copper if you want. It's good. But you could also use aluminum, because what you're pushing doesn't have a lot of current. There's very, very, very little current. It's mostly voltage. And aluminum will work just fine for that. And if you're doing a big build, you may be running, half a mile of this stuff. So the price can go up. One thing I like about this is it's black and red coated, which makes it easy to work with. You're not guessing. You're not trying to get your old eyeballs in there and see where there's a line on one or a line on the other. It's really obvious. I like using really obvious speaker wire, and I prefer it to be black and red. The blue and black may fit your build theme better or whatever, but black and red is so universal. Everybody understands the positive and negative on that. It keeps accidents from happening. And this is kind of one of my go-tos for speaker wire. For mids and highs. I don't run it for I don't run that stuff for subwoofers. I run pure copper because I'm carrying a lot more power through those. But that's one of the things where you can save money. Label maker. Okay, yes, here's a little trick, a little bonus for you guys. So here's a trick with the label maker. Get one of these. I don't care which one you get. You can spend big money and get the fancy ones, or you can get this little generic one that's $15. So here's how you use this damn thing. You get yourself some clear heat shrink. and it's also really inexpensive. Get clear heat shrink in all sizes. Whenever you run yourself, when you run an RCA, when you run a speaker wire, when you run anything that has to go to a specific place, you make a label and you stick it on the wire and you slide the clear heat shrink on top of it and heat shrink it down. And then you have that wire labeled for posterity. Later on, if you have to tear things out, you can go back and each wire will have its own freaking label. I recommend that you don't put it down by the end, back it off a few feet. That way, you know, it's not going to get cut off or trimmed off in a situation. But you'll be able to go back and pull that wire up and go, that is the wire for that. It's right there in the label. You will not, it's a go-to problem solving thing that you will appreciate. Your future self will appreciate this. And we use this kind of a label because of a reason, okay? You can print out labels, but those printout labels use a thermal tape that it gets hot and it makes it choke. But the problem with that is once you heat shrink it or get it hot, it basically blanks out. These things use pressure to push the tape out, so it creates a three-dimensional thing that doesn't jack up when you put heat on it. That's why we go old school with the old school label maker. If you use this religiously in your build when you start, you will find that it's amazing later on when you need to change something. This is a huge problem solver. So, yes, big thing. I wanted to make sure that I got that because that's one of those things that don't take much to get. But holy cow, how much it helps whenever you're doing an install. Let's see what else is interesting in this batch of stuff that I got listed here. I've already talked about the flags, and I bought a bunch of those. Oh, on-the-go cables, these can be very handy too. So if you're doing like me and you want to run like a tablet for your head unit, you can use an on-the-go cable. So what this does is allows you to plug this into your USB C port and then break out of that with the power for the USB-C, but also a old school USB output. And that means you can continue to charge your device with the power going to the device, but you can also run a thumb drive on the side. And there's a whole bunch of these different types, but they're all called on-the-go, OTG cables. You can see some different variants down here. This is one that I personally bought. If you're going to run a tablet as a head unit, I don't recommend getting this specific one. Let's see if I have the one that I would recommend. Hang on a minute. It's the one I recommend has actually got an end on it, and it may not be listed here. As you know, stupid things. But basically, on this end right here, it goes and then turns and makes a 90. And that keeps the wire from vibrating. This thing sticking out of the side of a tablet can build up some vibrations and it can cause that connection to fail. But the one that comes out and then angles down like that, they tend to not vibrate under high, vibration, which everything I do has high vibration options. So you have to think about vibrations as whenever you're figuring this stuff out. Something like kind of like this thing that's a more doable type of a thing. That's not the one, but they look like that. You can find them. You just got to look for OTG cable or right angle. I'm just kind of using this list to remind me. Oh, this stuff here. I used, and I got some more. I'm going to show you a couple here. So we'll start with the Amazon Basics sound deadener. I've used this, and you can see the price on it. It is not bad. $20, you get a chunk of this stuff. And there's different sizes and whatnot, but you can easily do a whole door or maybe two doors with one of these chunks. It's an excellent sound deadener. It's about the same as Noiko, or there's some more out there. Killmat. It's very similar to Killmat. It works really good, and I've used the crap out of it. So if you're looking for sound deadener and you're not trying to spend, $1,000 on it, this is a real good choice. The Amazon Basics. The Noiko is also good. And I got some other ones in here. Like there's a Killmat. See, this is one. It's very similar to this. And Kilmat, you can see the price. Of course, this is more square foot, but the point is these are the ones that I like to use. You ones you're seeing down here, and there's more actually. I've used all of those. Then there's this stuff. If you're trying to get into doing something with resin, okay. Now this particular resin I like for one the price. So you get 2 half-gallon containers for $40, and with that, I built both of my pods on my doors. I did a whole lot more stuff with it, little random jobs with it, and then I used it also in my buddy's box whenever we were in my box whenever I was sealing off the bottom of it, and then I used it in a friend's box to seal some stuff. This stuff takes, I mean, it goes so far. It goes a long ways, and you mix it 50-50. So you basically just mix equal parts A and B together and stir it up and use it. You know, it does come with these little dies down here. I haven't used any of the dies, but it comes with that. It comes with some little cups. It's basically ready to go. The pumps are a complete joke. Don't even bother trying to use the pump. Throw those away right as soon as you get the package. Just open it up and throw these little pump things over here in the trash because they're complete garbage. But this stuff is great. And it takes about 24 hours to set up hard. It sets up pretty good in about 8 or 9 hours. If it's cool, you know, if it's like in the 40s outside or colder, it's going to take a couple of days to set up. But in the normal summer-ish conditions, it's going to set up easily overnight, like really hard overnight. Stuff's really good. It's easy to work with, and it comes with everything you need. It's a great kit. $40, problem solver. Let's see what we're talking about over here. I'm just trying to bring you guys the love. That's all I'm doing. I'm just showing the love. Let's go back here and see what I'm missing. So we need self tappers. I don't buy those. I buy those at he's talking about the self tappers. I'm going to buy those at the Menards. I don't use them very often anymore, but because of the reasoning is the self tappers tend to come with a really fine thread, and they're only good for specific things. You need them like if you're trying to do something, stick something to a door or clamp wood to metal. You know, they kind of come in handy. But I don't do that a whole lot. So yeah, but yeah, that's definitely a plus. I would definitely opt for the T25 versions of them though. I really like using T25s. Let's see here. And GA said, I would do bad things with the flag. You can do whatever you want, man. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, I know. I was looking at that. Temps. If it's got a probe, you could put that on an amplifier and monitor the amplifier's temperature. And I mean that's good because you're looking at the voltage and the temp, and you just push the button on the front. You know, I think you press the thing on the front, and it just switches between temp and voltage. I mean, how cool is that for like $9, right? I haven't tried that thing, but it's got a good look to it. I like the way the readout looks. It looks really crisp and easy to see for my old man eyes. I'm digging it. Wire ferrules for zero gauge. Here's the thing about wire ferrules for zero gauge. It's almost always a crash course of figuring out what wire ferrules work with your specific zero gauge because there's so much variance. And a lot of things, a lot of amplifiers won't take a ferrule. Like if it's made for a zero gauge input, a lot of times a zero gauge ferrule will not fit in that hole, like without a wire in it. So once you put it on and compress it, it's got to, I mean, it'll just barely not fit. Everything has to be perfect for that damn thing to go in there. So when you find a specific cable that works with a specific ferrule, buy a bunch of that because that's not always going to happen. There's really hard to figure that out. I usually stick with, and I do have ferrules on my big wires, but I usually focus on the smaller wires for the ferrules. They tend to be more helpful, and I tend to avoid things where my wire has to go into a wormhole, like an amplifier that has a socket, like any kind of fuse blocks or any kind of connections where that wire is going into a hole and then you run a worm drive in it. I avoid those. I go with lugs and bolts because I don't like those connections. Now on amplifiers, you got to work with what you got, and I've tried to find a ferrule that works with the specific wire that I'm working with, and then because it's always a nightmare. The best thing I can tell you is order a kit that has a whole lot of different sizes. Okay, and whenever you're because you're going to need them. You may need 2-gauge ferrules to fit on. You may need a double alt gauge ferrules to fit on your 1 alt wire, and getting it compressed enough to make it go in the amplifier. Normally, you would just run the cable in with the ferrule and let the amplifier's bolt compress it. Right. Problem with that is the damn ferrule won't fit in there. So then you need a ferrule crimper. And there's a bunch of ferrule crimpers out there. I went through a lot of them, pretty much all of them. But only some of them will crimp an 8-gauge, and none will crimp anything bigger than an 8-gauge. And I use an 8-gauge crimper for my jumper cables and my subs to wire series parallel, so forth and so on. I use those to crimp those. But yeah, buy the big ass kit with all the sizes and find the one that fits the best, and good luck getting it in the hole because it's a hard trick to do. Nitro or retro, what's up, man? Retro reminiscence, retro reminiscence. Okay, got it. I want to make sure I was pronouncing that right before I said it all. He says, I'm running 3,000 watts total. What battery and alternator would you recommend? For a Grand Marquis, man, is it an old school Grand Marquis? I had one of those, and mine was a 78. I'm sure it's not a 78, but mine was a 78. 3,000 watts total, 300 amps. You need you could run the Big Jeff battery, the Big Jeff lithium battery with if you got the old school Grand Marquis like I'm talking about. Since it was also a police car. I mean, they had the Ford LTD was the police car at the time, the Crown Vics and shit. You should be able to find a service, what do they call that damn thing? It's a duty service or whatever it's called, alternator. Basically, it's an alternator off of the tow trucks, the police cars, the ambulances, all that shit. You can find one of those extreme duty alternators and put on there, and that combination would be solid. Now, with a good lithium bank, like a 5K from Trunk Thunder Lithium, you wouldn't even need to upgrade your alternator. You could run just the battery itself on a 3,000 watt amp, and it would have at it. It wouldn't have any issues. So that the best alternate, the best combo, unless you can get a hold of one of those heavy duty service alternators or a high output alternator of some sort. The best thing to do for your money is just to go ahead and get the Trunk Thunder Lithium 5K put on there and not worry about the alternator, and you'll be golden up to 5,000 watts. But there's some options for you. See what Frank has to say. What's up, man? You'd think at this point, touchscreen head units from all the major players would by now have full HD playback capability and even full DSP multi-channel output. No, because it's called building to the dollar and designing for your masses. And here's the thing, man. Right now, okay, 99% of the market are people who listen to their audio off of YouTube and TikTok and maybe Spotify and other streaming services, which do have good quality, but they're listening to MP3s and The thing is, they're also, most of them are connecting with their stuff with Bluetooth over, hands free and stuff. So there's so many ways that can get broken. I myself run a tablet that I have files stored on there, hard files that I Bluetooth send to my Bluetooth to my DSP, and that's how I get my music in my Tahoe. Now I have a high end tablet that sends out, I forget what the rating on the Bluetooth. It was a very new version of it, and it's got a high res Bluetooth, and I have the same kind of connection in my Audio Dynamics DSP. So I have a good solid Bluetooth connection, but I'm playing, some of them are MP3 and some of them are WAV files, but I'm sending them wirelessly. And the thing is, when you're designing something to sell to everybody, there's no point in designing it for the very few people that are going to be like, oh, this thing has amazingness. 99% of the people just want okay, right? And only that 1% wants amazingness. So you're going to have to, all those people got to pay for the amazingness, but they don't even want that. And they're going to go buy the thing that's just okay. And so those people that design it for this purpose are not going to sell their stuff. That's the facts. You're going to have to go around that. If you're running into mainstream stuff, you're going to be getting what a mainstream gets, But yeah, I agree, brother. And it's just because it doesn't need to. The money's still there, and the money is made with basic okay, Much from the first days. Started 2000, yes. Yeah, I know, right? That some with that epoxy. Um, that stuff is that stuff's a great buy. I didn't know whether it was going to work or not, but I figured for $40, screw it, let's go. Let's go. It pours really good. It levels good. It dries freaking clear. It loves the warm weather. It does not care for the cold weather. So if you're going to use it, you're going to have to use it in the house, or if it's cold, or you're going to have to use it in a heated in area. It doesn't like cold. It will set up in the cold, but it doesn't want to. It'll stay tacky for a long time if it's real cold. But that stuff worked great. I've used it in multiple different things. I just ran out of it, and I'm going to be ordering another 2 jugs because it just comes in handy in a clinch. And even after sitting for months in my storage building, I opened the caps and they were still both perfectly fine. You mix them up in the thingamajigger and spin it around and pour it in, and it does the thing. It always does the thing. Very good stuff. Frank said, I still just use regular polyester resin because of the fast cure time and fast buildup. Yeah. Well, that's the thing about the different esters. And I can't remember. I want to make sure I get this correct. Okay, yeah. And I don't remember which one is which, but vinyl ester or polyester. One of them will actually work well with fiberglass cloth. The other will not. And the thing about using fiberglass, so if you're doing a fiberglass mix, you got your mat, your chop mat, and all that shit. So you mix up your fiberglass resin and your hardener and everything, and then you put the chop mat in there and all that. Well, here's the thing. So on this chop mat, they have a glue essentially that holds the mat together. Okay. Whenever you put the resin on it, the correct resin, and I can't remember which one it is, and the fiberglass resin, when you put that on it, it actually melts that stuff, and it chemically bonds, not mechanically, but chemically bonds together with that mat. Whereas the wrong resin will still mechanically bond with the mat, but it won't chemically bond to it. It won't break it down and reform it into the thing. It'll just sort of stick it in place and keep it there. And it may look similar in the end, but believe me, the strength is completely different. I know that stuff I've got a jug over there of fiberglass resin, but you have to make sure you're using the right resin to be able to do the job. And whenever it comes to using that, so I'm still a noob when it comes to that, but that two-part resin that I showed you, I've been able to stumble my way through success after success with it being an idiot, and that's good. Ever do a dual voltage setup? Yes, I have one in my Tahoe right now, but it's not different per se. I'm running two separate alternators and two separate battery banks. So I could switch to higher voltage. All I have to do is change the alternator, change one of the alternators, and then run batteries that can hold a higher voltage charge. Sure. I got the setup for it right now. I just haven't done it. Where's that? Did I find a hexagonal crimper? Yeah, you can't. Don't exist. That doesn't exist. Believe me, I beat my freaking brains out. I know that it does exist. There is one. I saw one. But it's like, it was like some stupid like $2,000 tool that you use for some rent. I don't remember. But yeah, it's expensive. You know what might work on those? I haven't thought about this, but what might work on those sleeves on the big wire, the big alt gauge, is a hexagonal crimper, like for crimping lugs. I don't know. I hadn't tried that. I don't have one. I do have one, but I just hate it. I hate dealing with those dies and shit. Oh, it's a pain in the butt. Yeah, I agree 100%, my friend. Big old lugs. Yeah, baby. I would totally be down with that because I hate using those things. Old school, for a while they did. They had the screw terminals with a really big old pad on them. They would be very apt to causing stress on the frame and possibly the board and stuff. It's probably why they don't, but I hate using those things. Let's see here. Hammer crimpers. Yeah, I'm using something similar. I don't know if I can pull it up. But let me see here. I'll have to do a research. I'll show you the best crimper I have ever used, and the one that I currently use. And I've also bought some wire from these guys too, and they're excellent. That's not it. I'm trying to find the correct one here. They have a lot. There's the one that I use. Okay, we'll go back over to the thingamajigger. So these guys, this guy right here, is my crimper. I use this exact one. I set that sucker on the middle on one in the middle there for crimping alt gauge. It deep crimps it. This can create, if you put the lug in where the flat part of the lug is on the bottom where that pokey bit is. So how it has this little pokey thing, and has a little pokey thing there. Well, if you put that right there you go. So if you set the lug in to where the top of the lug is going to be in that V shape, and then the bottom is going to get the little pokey thing, it works very much like a hammer crimper. And then you crimp it, you end up with the top of the lug looks absolutely beautiful. And the bottom part is indented. So when you put your heat shrink on, this thing will look immaculate. Looks crazy good. I love this crimper. And I set mine on this one right here for crimping alt gauge. You're supposed to set it on the alt gauge, but I set it on the one, and it gives a nice deep crimp. I love this thing. And this same company, they give a 5-year warranty. You won't need that. This thing just keeps working, and it keeps working, and it's just reliable and makes a really good product. These right here are horrible. These are great, these little hydraulic ones, but they come with these die sets. They're a pain in the butt, and they're hard to work with. They work good, but I'd rather use my big crimper any day. A big Temco crimper. And then they also come, the Temco has a lot of stuff. So I'll show you a few other things. They have a lot of these different deals. I don't care for those styles. This style here sucks. These are pretty much worthless. I haven't tried this. This looks like a really good crimper because it just comes with an adjustable deal. So it works similar to the one that I've got, where it doesn't have a die. It just has one piece. And then you got a positive and a negative piece you can change out so you can crimp in the thing, which I don't use that function really, but this would be good. This would be my go-to hydraulic crimper if I got one. So I get this one. I tell you right now, because there's no dies to deal with, and I know how well that technique works. And in this case, you're buying the lugs, and then you can just throw this thing away. It's worthless. It's totally junk, man. I've got one. I use it like once in a great blue moon whenever I have to reach up in a place and crimp something that I can't bring to the crimper. It's kind of that kind of a thing. But it's really, I hate using it when I do. Um, and that one little hydraulic one from Tempco is probably a good choice for that kind of a scenario. I should go ahead and get one of these. I like the way this looks. This is really nice. And knowing coming from Tempco, it's going to be solid, man. I'm a huge fan. I got their wire. I just put a whole bunch of their wire in my build. You guys ain't seen the video yet because it's still uploading. 4K video takes like 20, 30 hours to upload. So there's that. Let's see here. The hammer cribbers. Cody said, do you consider cabin resonance when doing a build? Currently running 612s in my daily, but 112 NM. I'm not sure what you're getting. I understand cabin resonance, and I do consider it. But here's the problem with that. It's like I'm going to put the shit in the vehicle, and it's going to go where it fits. And no matter whether or not it's perfect, it's gonna do that. It's gonna do that thing. But knowing what you're going to tune at, it can help if you're trying to get a peak, and when you've got and your resonance, your quarter wave is like say 40 hertz. Then if you go ahead and build a port at 40 hertz and your driver's FS is like up in the high 30s or 40 hertz, you're going to ring the hell out of 40 hertz. And but for me, I typically try to layer all that stuff. So if I know my resonance is at 40 hertz and my FS is like 35 hertz, I'll probably tune to 28, 29. I don't want that stuff to stack. I want it to be separate. I want to carry a long amount of output, a wider band of output. I run primarily as a demo vehicle or just, SQL vehicle, musical build. So I don't try to stack up my advantages in one spot. But sure, you get into quarter wave theory and you get deep. That goes deep. And of course, there's also resonance in the panels and whatnot. I try to get rid of all that. I don't want any assistance. But yes, it can be good and bad. Like going from my brace, whenever I did the pole, I actually lost about a tiny amount, a couple of points, a couple of tenths at like 24 hertz, and I lost a couple of tenths at like 40 hertz. But I gained a couple of tenths in the mid 30s, which is where my strongest frequency is. So that worked out well. But yeah, cabin flex and different panels moving can very much change your output. So, like for example, you may have a really good SPL rig, but you're getting a real hard vibration on a panel, and you go in there and it sound dead in the crap out of that panel, then your SPL goes down. That's because that panel was sympathetic. It was sympathetically working at that specific frequency, and it just so happened to be boosting your sound pressure, acting like a passive radiator in your vehicle. That panel will get to work, and it starts out by working the opposite of the subwoofer. But once the resonance gets going, it can literally sync back up, and you can get an extra bit of pressure at that specific frequency. The problem with that is that panel will change its frequency after a while because it'll get wore out. It'll get work hardened, and it'll change, the metal will get work hardened, and it'll change the frequency that it wants to vibrate at, so it won't last. Not to mention the fact that it starts falling off. But yeah, there's all kinds of different things that we have to consider, and it's all good to point that stuff out, man. Frank says, "Oh, he's talking about outcasts. A lot of the old school amps just had strip bar connectors, were easier to wire. Yeah, but until they got to a certain point, um, then they were getting so much power into them that if that had continued down that path, you would have these big, huge wires making these hard connections. And if you moved the amp, that wire and everything would just be pulling and stressing on the end of the amplifier. I'm sure that became more of a thing. They had to figure out a way to keep that from breaking. There was just a point where they had to switch it up, you know. But I definitely don't appreciate it. Um, Simple, effective design. Yeah, 100%. Why are you still using RCAs in 2025? Because RCA is a common connector, and it is good enough for the 99 percentile. That's why. There's millions of producers that can make them for basically no money, and everybody uses that standard. So switching a standard from one to the other on a wide industry like that is almost impossible because it's good enough. You know, everybody wants to use SLR, something with noise rejection, you know, balanced inputs to stop noise and to filter noise and everything. All of that shit would be better. Okay, like pretty much every connector out there is better than an RCA, but there's a ton of RCA stuff, and you want everything to be compatible. And getting everybody to change up their stuff and charge more for the change up and retool factories shut down, rebuilt, all that kind of shit ain't gonna happen until the masses want the better quality input. And right now, that's never gonna happen. There was a point when it almost happened, but it ain't now. Now everybody's walking around with little tiny speakers, plugging their phone into it and going, "Ooh, look at that bass, man!" You know, they're not into that. They're not going to do that. Car audio obsessed, man. What's up? Oh yeah, I'm working hard on it, buddy. Um, some of the guys are going with high power setups. Honestly, rarely go over 2,000 watts between subs and full 3-way active setups. Sure, it all depends on what you're trying to do, man. It's everybody wants. It's like a top fuel dragster. Nobody drives that to work, but there's a whole lot of them out there that are doing 300 plus mile an hour down a quarter of a mile. It has a very specific job, and people enjoy what it does. NASCAR, IndyCar, they all have very specific jobs. None of them are daily drivers, but they can all do different things. And that's what this whole car audio thing's about. Let's see here. But yeah, I agree. And car obsessive. Evening, bud. I enjoy your box building videos. Thank you. I enjoy making the box video. There's a whole lot to it besides doing the work. I mean, there's the cameras constantly in the way, constantly have to be moved. Fighting with, you know, keeping the lineage clean because we get out there and cut up while we're out there goofing off. You know, we're having fun, dude. We bust out food. We'll be out there, you know, eating Mexican and talking smack, and it's really a blast. Just hanging out with the guys and working on that stuff is a lot of fun. And when very little educational content goes into it because we're all just having fun and we're doing the thing. So I just set the camera up and let it roll a lot of times because I'm too busy trying to teach how to do things to have fun to actually think about making a video clip. So sometimes the video itself suffers, but trust me, we're having a blast. And thank you for stopping by and thank you for the comment. Always crimp from the bottom, then the top. Looks nice. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I like to keep the top smooth, you know. So I go in the bottom. Then he said, no, find that low passing subs and higher than 50, 60 hertz, 2040 dB cutoff cuts down on a ton of vehicle resonance. Yeah, what you're doing is you're cutting down on your harmonics. So whenever you get when you're sub, this is literally why that works. I could show you more, but I can't go into that much detail on this video. But when you're hearing a note play, a bass note play, you're hearing the primary note and you're hearing the secondaries and tertiaries and all that, the harmonics. And a lot of times when I'm rebasing music and I pull up a bass line and I analyze a small section, I'll see the stacks of harmonics. And so what I first thing I do is go through it and put a steep roll off bass or low pass filter on it to kill all those harmonics and get a nice clean single note. But what you're doing whenever you're getting that filter down closer to where it belongs, is you're going to kill off a lot of those harmonics. You're also going to kill off having it cut off lower. You're going to kill off the sub wanting to play snare hits and shit like that, which can sound bad, especially if you haven't got your sub and your mid drivers time aligned well. They're going to sound sloppy and messy. If you can get them tight, and I recommend doing this. I was talking and I was answering a question in chat earlier about time aligning subwoofers, and I typically do them by ear because getting that big huge wave working right is just, you can't really do that because of the way it does what it does. So I put on my mids, just the speaker that I'm playing just above the subs. I put those and the subs on together. I cut everything else. I very specifically play Phil Collins, I Don't Care Anymore. And it starts out like this. Okay. And I know that beat because I do it a lot. But your subs will play a little bit on the upper drum notes. And then, of course, when you get to the bottom, when the big kick at the end, the boom, boom, that's going to be mostly subs. And I get the time alignment in the ballpark. And I listen to that and I tweak the time alignment on the mids until I get to the point to where the drum sounds like one single thing. You can't distinguish between the sub and the drum, the front speakers making different sounds. I dial that in, okay, to perfection. And that's my track, my go-to track for it, because I know exactly what those hits sound like. And it also, if you're running an SQ system, it's a real good place to set the level of your subwoofer, because that last kick, that boom, boom, shouldn't sound any louder or any quieter than the rest of the drums in that fill. So when you hear that, it should all come out as the same level. It should sound like one drum kit, right? And most people, if you play this with your current setup, you're going to hear that kick drum hit a lot harder. And that's because you got your subs too hot. So I use that to do my whole bottom end of my by ear mixing. It works really good. Anyway, I could go on and on and on forever about tuning. That's a deep, deep, deep rabbit hole. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of something I work with and why I do it. And we're talking about this comment, of course. But yeah, very good observation. And you're absolutely right. Alcross said your stripper pole reduced your output as well. No, it reduced the 24 hertz and the 40 hertz by about a tenth, but it increased the 36 hertz by 2 or 3 tenths. And that was at the volume level that I tested it at. But one of the big things it did was it stopped the roof from shaking. And that's the big thing. So I was getting some sympathetic boost from the roof shaping on the low notes, especially. I was getting a little bit of sympathetic help. The roof was basically being a passive radiator, but it's metal. And there's only so many times it can do this before it work hardens and changes and fatigues and breaks. So I didn't want that. Also, it was the joint of that metal was slapping into my windshield, which that's a thing too, right? So I wanted to stop that from moving, and that's what I did. And I don't think it caused any major problems. I think it gave me a little boost around my peak frequency, but it definitely is going to make my roof last a lot longer. 4th order or 6th order bandpass. If you're an experienced builder and you know how to build a 6th order and make it right, 6th order. If you're asking the question of which one is best, fourth order because you're not that experienced. The reason I say that is you can really screw up a sixth order really easy. Fourth orders, as long as you get that bottom chamber reasonably close to a good sealed volume, it's going to work. It's going to give you the bass, right? But if you screw up a sixth order, it's hard to get that right, especially the back port. It's really easy to mess up and it's difficult to get it right. But if you do both, if you manage to nail it, the sixth order is going to give you a ripping amount of freaking low end and wind. Awesome. Plus a wide band. And they don't heat up the coil. The fourth order tends to heat up the coil a little more because of restriction, and also the chamber is locked off in airspace. And they load weird. So fourth orders can load very weird, and sixth orders can too. That's why I said you got to build them properly. Anyway, my answer is sixth if you know what you're doing, fourth if you think you know what you're doing. That's kind of where I'm at. And trust me, I don't know what I'm doing. I have friends that do though. Regular port with a set filter. Sure, that's what I'm running as a ported flat wall. But yeah, you're gonna get down. EB Flex cable. No, but one of my favorite cables to recommend to everybody is called Flex Whip. Just go ahead and Google Flex Whip power cable. It's welding cable. And I did a long video where I did like 4 videos on the subject where I tested the melting point and the durability of the jackets on like all the car audio wire and a handful of different welding wires. And I found that car audio wires jacket is all garbage. It's all garbage. The jacket on it doesn't take any real heat to start breaking down. That stuff is so incredibly weak. If you're going to run wire near any kind of heat source or around a bunch of heat or anywhere where you're worried about it to being durable, don't run car audio wire, run welding cable. Just don't. All right. Just don't do that. But of all the welding cable is all really stiff and hard to work with. That's the downside. That's why car audio cable has that really floppy jacket to make it easy to work with. There's one exception though. That's Flex Whip. Flex Whip has got a really, really, really soft jacket that you can work with no problem, but it still takes all the torture that all the other welding cables take. And it's brilliant. Brilliant wire. Usually comes in bright orange, but look it up. That's my recommendation. Car Audio Obsessed. What's up, man? Back. He said it's a rule of life. Start at the bottom and work your way to the top. Start the bottom at work. He corrected it. Your way to the top. Yeah, you really do. If you want to, that's a really good rule across the board. You build a house, you start by digging at the foundation, digging the footing, and selecting the spot, all that. You may think, well, that's simple. That's like, okay, sure, of course you do it that way, right? But let's look at that. Let's take that apart a little bit because I think it's worth paying attention to. So you buy a house, okay? It's already built, and you need to fix it, okay? You need to repair it. It needs repairs. So there's a bunch of crap wrong. What do you do first? Do you put a new roof on it? Because obviously, the roof is leaking. It's got water coming in. You need to fix that, right? But what if you put a new roof on it only to find out that the rafters and all are rotten and you're going to have to replace them? Or the walls, the load-bearing walls have, termite damage and they're severely sacrificed. You're going to have to go through and tear into that too. Or the foundation is cracking and busted and the plumbing runs in the foundation, so you're going to have to dig that all up. There's a thing, you got to step back and say, well, let's start with the shit at the bottom and work our way up. When you get done, you cap off a finished project. And that could work in car audio or in any other kind of environment as well. So I like that. That's very good. Frank Bonnet said that's how they're making car audio power wire so flexible today is by compromising its heat resistance in the jacket. Yeah, that is exactly what they're doing. They're basically using a very soft, flexible jacket that doesn't have a very good abrasion resistance, and it doesn't have any heat resistance at all. It has zero. It's like, yeah, that shit just melts. And the problem with that is that there's times when heat gets in there. You know what I mean? Like your amplifier is getting hot. You know, you got a fuse block or you got a connection that's going bad. And the thing is, sure, your connection shouldn't ever go bad. You should have good tight connections. But people screw shit up, right? Things get broken, connections loosen. So your connection starts loosening, your fuse ain't going to blow because it doesn't care about heat. It only cares about current, and you're not running extra current. You're just getting it hot. So when that happens, the connection and then the wire that gets hot, and then the insulation burns off of it. Well, now you have a potential for a short. It's like one extra layer of protection that's gone because it couldn't handle the temperature. Running down under the car, which a lot of guys are running shit under the car, running the cable across a bank of batteries where you got hot bus bars on the batteries. We all know better than to do this, but people still do it. And that jacket is all that's stopping that from going from stupid to a fire, right? So yes, that freaking jacket is extremely important. If you're going to be running internal wires, sure, run your car audio stuff. But if you're going to be running serious stuff and doing crazy things with it, swip, man, some kind of welding wire. You know, there's tons of stuff out there, but that flex whip is the softest. It's, dude, that stuff is like a spaghetti noodle. It's soft. You can tie it in a knot and pull it up tight. It's really soft wire, and it has that amazingly indestructible jacket. I love that wire. It's good wire. Can't find a 6th order simulation software. Nope, not even from the big boys. In fact, you can't even buy it. There's not any. You have to make it. My friend who does Bay Harbor Butcher audio. I can't think how that's pronounced. Eagle Designs. Anyway, the mad scientist, he took the software that he normally uses, the high end, I forget what it's called, but it's high end stuff. It's really good software, and he designed a way to run a 6th order simulation. So yeah, he had to make his own variant for 6th orders, and the reason is nobody wants to touch that. It's so difficult to get right, and it's so many variables can change how it performs. There's just so many ways that you can screw it up. Nobody wants to touch that. So that's why. Real simple. But yeah, you're not going to find it. What you do is what I did with my little Micro 6 that I built a while back. Is I used the software to build the bottom chamber as a ported box. And then I did my best to simulate that using the port as the driver size and a whole bunch of advice. And we managed to make a little single sub 6 that worked pretty good, but anything could have changed and broken that whole operation. That's it, man. It is what it is. Let's see here. WinISD. Yeah, they don't. No, not even the paid version. You can't buy it. You can't buy it. That's what he's using as I think he's using WinISD. Something really nice. G-Body said, I'm late, but I'm here. Oh, man, you're not late because it was an unannounced. This was a totally unannounced show, man. So I just thought I would do some stuff on Amazon and talk about some of the cooler things that I bought on Amazon and what stuff works. Just having, want to talk to my friends a little bit, hang out. And I'm glad you showed up. Alex said, what's up, OG? Series 6. Yeah, and I know that's what I was thinking in my brain was a Series 6, not a parallel. Parallels are far easier But yeah, Series 6. Horn, no, I don't think so. Not a series. That's the trick. Like I said, making a parallel sixth is basically just making two subwoofer boxes and using two ported boxes and using one sub in the middle. It's it's fairly simple, and most software can cross that. But it's whenever you have the port firing into the second chamber and then a cumulative firing out. There's the relation between those two ports is the hard part. Okay, getting the bottom part to work, that's simple. It's a ported box basically, but getting the right amount of airflow coming out and getting that back port working with the front port, that's the tricky bit. Most people that run a sixth order, this is the honest to God truth. I've talked to a bunch of them. Most people that are running the series sixth order, it's a complete failure. The back port is what they're running on. The front port is just whatever it is. They don't even care. It doesn't matter. They're not trying to play. They're not trying to play the frequencies up there that port's made to. They're just running essentially a sealed or a ported box with the port all the way in the back and a big old hood up there to direct and contain sound pressure until it gets to the front. They're not running it is a sixth, but it's a bad one. Most of them don't care about that front port at all. Not really. So, yeah, it's, but it's still, even a failed six like that, if you get that back port right, it's going to be better than a fourth. But you can get stupid. I've sit, I believe, DJ Rusticles, I sit in his vehicle and he was doing like 165 dB demos. And that thing will take your clothes off, man. I mean, it will tear your clothes off of your body. It's so incredibly violent. And I'm pretty sure that's a fourth. If I remember correctly, it's a fourth. He had 6 15s on each side and he broke it down to 4 15s on each side because the chamber was too small. So he plugged the front two and he's just running 8 15s or 8 18s. I don't remember now, but it was 4 on each side in result. And then a hallway for that port. Just insane. I'm pretty sure it was a fourth order. Blow your mind, but it heats up the coils really bad. There's so many different things involved. And subwoofer, when you go to getting into high pressures, so many little things can change everything. Trying to figure out transmission lines. Yes, it does work for transmission lines. It does do a Series 6. Well, I haven't seen it. Kobe, have you ever done a free air setup? Nothing big. Nothing big. I actually thought about it. So my plan was, okay, and it's all went to part. Maybe I'll do it whenever I do the rebuild eventually, if I do another rebuild. But I had a plan. So I've got a ported flat wall, right? And I was going to be putting in a Series 6 with 6 15s, 6 different 15s from the ones I was running. So the way this is all going to work is I was going to go in there and cut out the back of my ported flat wall and fill in the port. And then do a whole bunch of testing with it being a IB from front to back. So it would be an infinite baffle wall, right? And I was going to test the crap out of that and see just how far we could go with it. And then that was all going to get torn out, and I was going to do the Series 6. I had a plan, and there was a whole lot of content going to come with it. But as things happen, money was the problem. I couldn't afford to do all the material I needed for the 6th and to buy the new equipment that I needed to buy at the same time. That wasn't happening. And also, my physicality is kind of broken. I don't have the physicality that I used to. So that was my plan, and it got shot down. Maybe it'll happen on the next build. I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah, I wanted to play around with one. One of our teammates is always messing around with IB. He's doing some stupid stuff right now. What What did you think about Soundman's bandpass blow through from all those years ago in the F-150? The disco, the midget disco. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was a parallel sixth. Really cool build. Sonically, it was a brilliant design, and the problem was in practice that MDF just went to pieces. He didn't make much of it in the end. He was like, oh, starts pulling it out. Yeah, but that box was ruined so bad. It got so ruined back there. You don't put MDF outside. I don't care what you do to it. It's not going to take the weather. And so it sounded great, though. It was a nice setup. It just didn't work too well in practice. But yeah, really cool build, though. I was really surprised that he got the truck looking stock as he did whenever he sold it, too. I think I kind of wondering what happened on his channel because he was going to the baseband build, and that was shaping up to be just a beautiful build. He had done tons of work on those door panels, but I also noticed that he wasn't doing much in the back, and he hadn't been showing off the equipment. You didn't see the stuff that was going to happen in the back. It was all just kind of late. He was working on them door panels and making them perfect, which is good. But I was like, man, what's going on in the background? Because there's not any big, stack of subs or amplifiers anywhere. And I think finances kind of got the best of him on that because he ended up selling that van and doing different stuff. So I don't know. Maybe his wife beat him up. I don't know. It happens. We all have beatings from our wives. This is a common thing. I'll do a vid on Series 6 ASAP. Sure. That'd be cool. I've never built a bandpass, so I suppose I'd start with a fourth order. Yeah, if you don't, honestly, that's the best advice I could give. If you're wanting to dive into one or the other and you don't know what the hell you're doing, you're going to have a way better chance of getting a fourth working right than you will a sixth. You're going to probably waste your time with the sixth, but you'll learn a whole lot from the fourth. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. He used MDF in certain areas, and that's where it fell apart. Yes. And he was out, and everybody was giving him shit about it. It's like, oh, it's going to fall apart when it rains. And he was like, no, it's not. Sound man. This goofy. It was this freaking penis mirror things. And oh man, dude, I loved watching his videos. His videos are always so funny, so entertaining. But and he was like, man, yeah, they were right. It did completely fall apart. Yeah, you can't do it outside. Inside, you find if you have MDF in your vehicle, you'll find leaks. If you have any little drops of water coming in anywhere at any time, you will find them on the box. They will show up. It will tell you about them because it absolutely is a sponge that absorbs everything. Well, I have had a blast talking to you guys. I always do. I have sometimes I have a hard time doing Friday and then the Sunday to back because like the weekends I get so caught up in other stuff. People that want to come over and do stuff, they always want to come over on the weekend because that's when they're not working and shit. But it doesn't matter what you did, Doug. That's hilarious. But and I get caught up in that, but and then I have to do the shows, and then my wife's off work and she wants to do this or that and things. But sometimes I just want to hang out and talk, so I'm going to randomly pop up on night times sometime during the middle of the night, and we'll have a subject matter and we'll just dive into it. If you guys enjoy the randomness and this is the realness of these interactions, be sure and slam that subscribe button, slap that like button, ring the bell, and share. All of those things help my channel grow and help more people come and get involved in our conversations. And we get more input. It doesn't matter what you did, Doug. That's perfect. Doug is doing like one video per month now. Yeah, I know. I know. I don't know. Things in life just come along and slap you upside the head sometimes. Somebody dies, you lose a job, you get into some kind of custody battles or legal troubles. There's all kinds of stuff that comes along and flip flops your whole world. And YouTube channel is like the bottom of that pile. You got to deal with all this other stuff first. For a lot of people, it's not their primary source of income. For me, it is my only source of income. So there is that. Anyway, all that stuff. He started his own radio station. Of course he did, because that makes total sense. That's totally something that he would do. Totally something he would do. He would definitely start his own radio station. I should look him up because I'm subscribed to him and everything, but I hardly ever see anything pop up from him, and that's annoying. As I would like to, I always want to see what he's got going on. Let's see here. I don't have the queued up today, but we're going to go out with a bang. Anybody heard it? It's not making that up. Has anybody heard it? I haven't heard it. But for now, guys, check this out. Let's see if it works. I don't know if it's going to work. Hang on a second. Right, do it differently. Give me a minute. Do 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 do. Oh yeah, you're still screwed up. Godzilla. Yo, Code God, why do you keep doing the same thing? Oh my God, you're such a pain in my ass, you stupid screen. Farajaka. In case you're wondering what that song's called, it's Farajaka. 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 Yeah. Okay, there we go. Now, let's do it. Turn the subwoofers up or put your headphones on.
Low ocean rumble, thunder rolls, distant heart. Maybe fate so now, being a monster breathing soul. Down in the black where the cold waves crawl, something moves in the deep, ancient and tall. No breath, no friend, no other one born to carry the weight of a crown of storms. He sleeps in the dark with the ghosts of the sea, dreaming of a world that forgot his legacy. Silent in the pressure, timeless and still, a God without worship, a king without will. The sonar hums, the surface calls. He opens one eye and the ocean falls. The sky begins to tremble, the mountains sigh. When the lonely one rises, the clouds start to cry. Go, go Godzilla, the ground shakes when he walks. Go, go Godzilla, feel the thunder in your blood. From the deep, from the fire, from the storm, he was born. Go, go, go Godzilla, yeah. Hear the world get torn. Sirens wail in the city night. Steel towers shiver in the blinding light. The sky turns red, the air turns gray, and every soul knows it's judgment day. He roars like a million cannons in pain. Lightning veins run through his frame. Bridges crumble, glass rains down. Tokyo screams beneath his crown. They built their empires on his grave. Now the waves return to reclaim what they gave. No mercy, no fear, just primal design. The beast reminds them what's divine. Oh, Godzilla, the ground shakes when he walks. Oh, torn. Jets in the sky, warships below. Metal against muscle, the humans grow bold. Flames on his scale, smoke in his breath. But even kings can taste their death. He stumbles through ruin, towers on fire. His roar grows weak, the end draws nigher. Eyes to the sea where he first came from. He sinks in the silence, the battle done. The ocean takes him back once more. No drums, no cheers, no final roar. Just echoes of power fading slow in the deep below. The king still glows. Go, go, Godzilla! The ground shakes when he walks. Go, go, Godzilla! Feel the thunder never stop. From the deep, from the fire, from the storm, he was born. Go, go, Godzilla! The legend reborn.
Then footsteps. Oh, have I heard the new reimagining? Oh, son, I've heard tons of them. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them are pretty good. They're pretty interesting. And the thing about the AI thing, and I used to use Udio. Now I use Suno because it's better. You know, it just does a better job. The thing about it is right now it's pretty broken in a lot of ways. It's going to change. They're going to crack down on it more. But you can. Oh, this track that I'm playing, yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on my playlist. I have a bunch of them there. It's about 8 of them, I think, that I've created specifically for demo tracks, and Godzilla is one of them. I got Kong too. That's actually playing next by default over here on the screen. But I think they're pretty good. I try to build stuff. I usually master it down to about 0, sometimes -1 or 2 in that range. So it's going to be kind of hot. So whatever you crank up to, you may want to back off a couple of clicks. It's going to be hotter than you expect. But the bass will be nice and clean. It's all clean, clip-free music. So anyway, with the AI, you're able to take and put well, you have to be tricky about it because the AI will reject the whole song if you jump in a whole song. But if you run it through Audacity first and do something like cut all the bass out of it, and then slow it down, a tiny percent, and most of the time it'll go through. You also have to make sure you change the metadata names and all that stuff so that it doesn't see the name showing up in the metadata. If you do all those things, it usually will take the song. And then if you enter the lyrics to the song, the real lyrics, it will reject them. But if you change a percentage of the lyrics, different words and stuff like that, then it'll take it as a new track. So it's kind of tricky. It's kind of tricky to get it to do that stuff. Now they're getting better about filtering out people actually using straight up, music and then rerunning it. And basically all you do is put the song in there and you tell it to make this country. Don't give it no other instructions. Turn this into country. And then boom, it'll output a country song that's based on the melody and all the words and everything. It'll just literally do that. It takes longer to find the ability to download the video and then run it through the machine and do that. It's very quick. It's but to get one that sounds okay, you may have to do it 100 times, or you may do it one time. It's kind of like training a dog to open a door. There's so many wrong ways to do it, and only one right way, and you're going to get any variant of that as you go through it. But I do a lot of work when my AI stuff that I do music wise is I write my lyrics. They're all written by me. I run the lyrics and I go through and I run them through the AI. I run them through it and I find spots where, okay, it's having trouble with the pacing on this particular thing. So I'll rewrite that part and I'll keep working it. And then I'll finally get something that's pretty close. So then I spit it out in stems, which is basically tracks: drum track, bass track, guitar track, whatever. And it comes out and all the different tracks are already separated, mostly. It doesn't do 100% good job on that. It does like a 95% job on that. I take all those tracks and put them on Audacity, and I go through and rebuild a lot of stuff. I'll cut things. I'll change the levels independently all throughout the tracks. I get to the sub part. I rebuild the entire bass line with pure sine waves from start to finish. That's a long process. There's a whole lot of work. And then once I finally get that to where it's something I can work with, I spit it out and I pull it back in as a unmastered track. And then I spend another 5 or 6 hours mastering it, getting the levels of everything just right. And then I spit that out and I send that in an email to myself, and I go out to the Tahoe and I open the email on my tablet and my Tahoe and I run it through my Tahoe. I test drive it in the Tahoe. And then that's when I find out that the levels are all wrong. So then I'll go and pull the track back up and I'll adjust it. Then I'll do the same thing again. It's a lot of work that goes into making a track that works well. And they don't all pass the mustard. So a lot of complicated stuff. Stay with the bass knob in my hand. Yeah, start out nice and ease into it because it's going to get serious. Yeah, I went down the -6 on my home setup for that Godzilla song, and it has 212s. Yeah. Yeah, -6 would be about right if you're, used to it not being hot. What's up, man? Stace? Who is that? Stas? Boris. Yeah. What's up? Glad you could join us. We're doing stupid shit. Let's check this one out. We'll go over here and run this one too. I think y'all might like this stuff. So we'll try this one out. Here we go. This is the next song that pops up. It's also in the playlist called Kong.
He moves through mist where the jungle breeze, ancient crown in the canopy leaves, drums in the distance, thunder reply. The mountain bows when he opens his eyes. He guards the stones, the fire, the trees. The island hums with his memories. No chains, no walls, no reason to roam. The mighty one standing alone. Beat of the drum, feel it strong. Jungle heart where you belong. They took the king from his throne of green. Now the city shakes when he's seen.
This track took forever to get put together, by the way.
Ropes and steel, the sky turned gray. Flash bulbs blind where the crowd will pay. He looks above at towers of stone, a cage of men, a world not his own. The heartbeat grows, the anger climbs. Drums become sirens, bells become chimes. He breaks the chains, the walls come down. The jungle king takes back his crown. Beat of the drum, feel it strong. The ground shakes when you roam. From the wild to the steel and the storm he was torn. The beast reborn.
What do y'all think about that one? I just played about half of it, a little more than half of it. No, that song took a long time to put together because what I did was I started out with I wanted to get a Congo, so I went in there and I created a Congo track that was just drums, like jungle drums, and I had to keep working that and keep working that. And then I pulled it out and I reconfigured it and I changed it all up, and then I mastered it again, just the drum track. Then I run it through, and I got that laid out to where I wanted it to, and then I started building the song on top of that. And it was like layers. You know, have you seen the guys doing the fancy woodworking where they take and put a bunch of stuff together and they cut it in weird ways and they create these crazy patterns that come out like butcher blocks and tables and shit? Essentially, that's how I made that song. It's got extremely wide panned drums in it, so the drums sound they're room filling. They got very wide distance to them and lots of big space. And that was the hardest part about getting that made, is I wanted the drums to have tons of air and space. I didn't want them to sound tight and right in your face. That cinematic mix was what took forever. And then I had to work on the background vocals where they're going Kong, Kong. I wanted them to be kind of a little far away too. I didn't want them to be right up on top of it. The one I wanted close was the main vocal. I wanted that to be kind of in the stage area, not just out in front of you there. And getting all of those layers mixed together, that was rough. That was very rough. So there was a ton of work that went into that. And, you know, people talk about AI stuff. It's like a thing, you know, like, oh, you can just make an AI song. Yeah, you can just make an AI song. Is it going to sound good? Maybe. Sometimes you get lucky and it sounds okay. But is it going to leave you with a feeling? You know, is it going to give you something? You know what I'm saying? Because most of the time, AI music is just so blah. You know it's a good song. You know it sounds good. You know it's mixed pretty good. You know it checks all the boxes, right? But does it give you a feeling? Does it make you feel good? Does it really stir something up in you? And if it doesn't do that, then there's no heart in it, and that's the part that you miss. You don't miss the musicians. You miss the feeling. And most AI music, you don't get a feeling from it. You just hear a song. Are you headed out, Frank? Okay, bro. I'm going to do one more track, and I think you might get a kick out of this one. I'm going to play this one because of what's coming up is Halloween. And this one I think is a really good one. It's called Stalker. I think you guys are going to like this.
He was just a kid. They weren't watching. Little boy drowning in a lake that night. Counselors laughing by the firelight. Called out once, but they never came. Now the water remembers every name. Ripples on the surface, moon turned pale. Echoes of a child lost in hell. They said he was gone, but the lake still speaks with a cold, wet breath from the forest creeks. Stoker, don't close your eyes. Stoker, somebody dies. Stoker, the silence cries. Stoker, Jason Rise. Mama lost her mind in a flash of red. Every night she whispered to the voice in her head. They let you drown, they play while you die. Now make them pay, and the woods complied. Knives in the dark, rain in the hair. Every scream just a mother's prayer. They stopped her heart, but the curse stayed near. And the boy in the water began to hear. Stoker, don't close your eyes. Stoker, somebody dies. Stoker, the silence cries. Stoker, Jason Rise. Cold hand breaks through the mud and moss. Mask on his face, machetes crossed. No heartbeat, no soul to save. Just vengeance crawling out the grave. He walks through the fog where the moonlight bleeds, drawn by the sound of the guilty's pleas. He don't remember why, he don't remember when, but he's stuck in the loop, kill again, again. Stoker, don't close your eyes. Stoker, somebody dies. Stoker, the silence cries. Stoker, Jason Rise. Now the woods hum low and the night turns black. Every footstep can't drown the past. Evil like that forever lasts. He is the lake, the fog, the pain, the whisper in your ear when you hear that rain. So if you feel the chill and you can't explain, don't run, it's already too late. Stalker. Don't close your eyes. Stalker. Somebody dies. Stalker. The silence cries. Stalker. Jason Arise.
And see, in that track, you can feel that. You know what I'm saying? You can feel the torment. You can feel it. You get an emotional response from it. I'm starting out, of course, with Jason dying and why, and his mother and her rage, and then Jason combining all that rage together to come back and do the only thing he knows how to do is what he's been trained to do his whole life, which is hate teenagers and kill them. He's behaving perfectly normally based on the input that he's had, right? And I just find it very fascinating, the arc of serial killers and stuff like that. So is he behaving badly? Well, it depends on your perspective. From his perspective, he's doing what he was trained to do. People, tried to kill him, and then his mother was killing him, and that's all he knows how to do is kill. And that's all he can do is kill. He does it well, Anyway, I know this has been a very odd show for me because I normally stick to a car audio theme, but we don't always talk about just car audio gear and install. Sometimes it's music, and I definitely consider this stuff to be music. It requires a lot of work to create, and a lot of thought goes into each of these things. And there's more. I've got more. I've got Terminator, which is pretty good. And if you're wanting the bass, if you're wanting to go a good demo track, look up the Incredible Hulk, because that one is probably, in my opinion, it's the best demo track. You want me to play a little bit of the Incredible Hulk? I'll pull it up if you want. That's purely up to you guys. And like I said, that this is all of this was because I feel like that there's so much music out there for demos, but it's all so vulgar. It's all so kind of pointless, and I don't think it has any character. It's just, just back to back vulgarity for vulgarity's sake. And I'm just not interested in that anymore. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to create some tracks that give you what you're looking for without all of that and still have some interesting story to them. So I'll play the Incredible Hulk track for you guys. This one is be prepared. This one's going to bring the serious bass, but it's good, clean bass. And it's one of my favorite demo tracks right now. I've got many videos of me playing this track in demos, and it does hair tricks well. So let's have a look at this. See what you think about this.
Some call me a monster. My name is David Banner, and I'll spend the rest of my life running from myself. Walk alone, shadow in the night, trying to hide from the monster inside. Every face, every town I pass, fear the rage that I cannot surpass. Friends don't stay, love turns away. Every heartbeat fights another day. Chains unseen, I wear them still. Life's a war I can't ever kill. Piano cries while the night grows cold. Banner monster sleeps, but in my chest a secret keeps.
One more time, baby.
Every moment of fleeting peace, till the rage wakes and never ceases. Some call me a monster. My name is David Banner, and I'll spend the rest of my life running from myself.
What'd you guys think about that? That track, that track has got the 3 big bass phases. I usually demo the first chorus, and then I'm done. I'm done. Everybody's like, "Holy crap!" You know. And I highlighted the frequency. Did y'all catch that? It's 27 to 64 hertz, and it plays. That 27 is the bottom dropper. That's when things get real. The 27 hertz, and it comes in first. So you get that boom right off the bat. And I specifically engineered in some what I call fake bass. And because this is the best, when you get in a vehicle that's really hot and you get the song going, okay, and you hear some bass come in, you're like, oh, okay, that sounds good. So boom, boom, boom. You know what you're doing. And you kind of think into yourself, okay, this is about where it's going to end. And all of a sudden, the real bass comes in. That's what I wanted to happen. I wanted you to kind of get accustomed to that first few little high pitched bass notes. Which sort of come in and play in the mids, and they're not really intense. And then when the chorus drops, you get the real hit, and it's a 27 hertz hit that just blows wind everywhere. That was what I wanted to happen in the build. So that's why I did it exactly the way that I did it. It was engineered. The song was engineered to be a demo track. That's what I'm trying to do with all of this stuff. Taking some, and I just like, I tried to do Halloween, Michael Myers, and it just, the tempo was so difficult to get the AI to understand. And I could not figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to make it work. And I kept getting so much garbage. What's up? Play it, live it. Yes, I am live. Just doing some random stupid shit tonight. Not a typical car audio enthusiast video. We're talking about all manner of things. Right now, we've been playing music, some of the stuff that I created for demos. I did the Terminator one for a friend of mine who has a very lively build. It's kind of he does mostly walls, kind of, no, wait, the word I'm looking for, stunt wall kind of stuff. So he plays to the parking lot and kind of does the whole, blasting it across the event. And he messaged me and said, "Hey, I need you to make a song for me about this." And he had a cursor dropped on a YouTube video, and it was where Reese was explaining something, the initial little explanation of the Terminator to what's her face in the car. In Terminator, the original. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So I said, all right, I'll see what I can do. And I started cooking around in my brain and thinking about how you would express the Terminator in a song, right? How would you express that in a song? So I started working on lyrics and coming up with something that worked. And it was kind of hit and miss. I got frustrated with it. And another thing is you tend to get brain dead on the subject after you mess with it for a while. You have to just stop and then come at it again the next day because your brain just starts misfiring because you're getting overwhelmed with things that aren't right and trying to make them right. But after a lot of trial and error, and a whole lot of fixing things that that shouldn't have been broken in the first place. I did finally I did finally get a track that he ended up liking. So this is what I ended up creating. The Terminator bass. That's it, baby. Here we go.
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are done.
I am not stupid, you know. They cannot make things like that yet.
Not yet. Not for about 40 years.
So I was going for a buildup of energy that just kind of sustains.
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are done.
Anyway, that is Terminator. Um, Another good track. It's got a lot more intensity and energy, but I wanted that kind of a feeling because that's kind of how a Terminator runs. There's some breaks and pauses in the movie where things are peaceful and break down, and you get a chance to calm down and relax. And then all of a sudden, explosive energy happens again, and it sustains, it sustains, it sustains. So that's why the song has those breaks. And I was trying to create that feeling of the movie and the way it ran. Um, a lot of this stuff, and a lot of times I will go through the process of creating a breakdown, and it'll be a completely different generation with the AI. I'll keep working until I find the right thing, and then I have to go through and speed it up, slow it down, get the tempo right to put it in the spot because it will not do the breakdown that I want. So I have to make one. And then it's so much work, man. It's like mixing a bad band. So you have a band come in to record and you record them and then you have to try to figure out a way to make them sound good. That's how it is working with AI. It's a band, but it's not necessarily a good band. And they don't always do what you think they should do. So yeah, it's a trip, but it does open up possibilities for people to be creative. I mean, you can always just pop out music and send it, and call it good. And that's usually hot garbage. Whenever you put the effort into writing something and creating something that actually has merit and gives you a feeling, then you can get a product that actually tells a story and conveys a message and gives you a feeling. Then you've accomplished what you're trying to accomplish, whether it was through playing your instrument yourself or having an AI play that instrument. It's yeah, like I said, it's like teaching a dog to open a door. There's a million ways to do it wrong, and there's one way to do it right. It is what it is. But I appreciate you guys for enjoying. And Play It, Live It popped in here at the last minute. I've been going for a little over 2 hours, and yeah, I'm live. Um, I randomly am up really late at night, so this isn't totally out of the ordinary. I just normally don't do live streams at midnight and shit. But it is what it is. I just thought I'd talk to you guys and hang out a little bit. It's always fun. Y'all have any questions for me? It can be car audio related. It can be music related. It can be AI related. It can be anything. But if you have any questions, now would be the time to throw them up in the comments. If not, we're going to be bailing. We're going to be bailing. There's only a limited number of me's to available out there in the world. And there's people that are wanting me to do shit for them tomorrow. There's always people that are wanting me to do shit tomorrow. I'm going to leave out on a track that's not a bass track, but it's also one that I wrote and one that I created. And this is how we're going to step out tonight. This one here means a whole lot to me. So enjoy. I think this will mean something to you guys too. If you haven't heard it, this is going to ring. It's going to come home, going to take you home, and it's going to sit in your heart. And I think you can all relate to this track. But we're going to bust a camp after the track. So here you go. It's called The Fire We Go Through.
Me and the old man climbing up the creek bank with a string of fish, had to get our stories straight. I can smell the creek mud, summer sun is beating down. Memories are so strong, feel it on my face. I remember fireflies floating in the summer air, ran the woods without a care, never thought it in. But I had to hurry up, had to start growing up, 'cause I knew everything was just round the bend. The fire we go through forges the metal, the pain makes us tough as a stone. The road we choose
Night, Cody.
will be on forever, but that old driveway always leads back home. I remember racing cars, fake IDs and smoky bars, running with a crazy crowd, ending up in jail. Still recall the bad ideas, all the stupid things I did. If I could do it all again, looking back is hell. Drinking hard late one night, broke into a 5 and dime, ended up in county jail. Thought I was tough, I had to do time upstate, eat the food put on my plate, learn to be a better man, had to grow up. I've been asked if I could go back, would I change the things I've done? I thought long and hard, but the path I chose was the only one. All my bad decisions, all those years were hard on me. But looking in the mirror, I respect the man I see. The fire we go through forges the metal, the pain makes us tough as a stone. The road we choose will be on forever, but that old driveway always leads back home. See the young ones running around, hanging with that rowdy crowd. See myself in all the things they do. I remember as a kid, old folks watching what I did. Now I know just what they always knew. I made decisions, good and bad. I fought my fights and I bled. I sowed the seeds and paid the price each time. I've scars to show for every time I chose a road or hill to climb. And now I'm made of scars, and buddy, that's just fine. I've been asked if I could go back, would I change the things I've done? I thought long and hard, but the path I chose was the only one. All my bad decisions, all those years hard on me, but looking in the mirror, I respect the man I see. The fire we go through forges a metal. The pain makes us tough as a stone. The road we choose will be on forever, but that old driveway always leads back home.
Yeah, I wrote that about my life, man. That's 100% true story. You guys have an amazing night. Be good to each other.